How's it going, howdy? My name is Davvy Chappy, and today I will be showing you the bard. And while learning may not be, I still hope that you will be, much like singing this song, very hard. The Bard is my favorite class, and I'm going to be giving basic tips on how to play the Bard, as well as go over all the wonderful archetypes that this class has in its repertoire. As always, keep in mind that these videos are directed more towards new players that are experiencing the wonders of the Bard for the first time, and this is just my completely unbiased opinion that will show absolutely no signs of favoritism towards my favorite class at all in any way ever. Definitely not. I love you. With that out of the way, let's begin. So, the Bard is the greatest class that is, was, or will be, and all other classes can go suck. What I mean to say is the Bard is an all-around class that can be played however you'd like in a whole bunch of different ways. If you want to be a melee fighter, you can pick up a sword and get to it. If you want to do ranged and or crowd control, you got magic. And if you want to be a big role player, your charisma score is dopeness in its dopiest form. And if you want to be a skill monkey, you've got the level 2 bardic ability, Jack of all trades, which adds half of your proficiency bonus to any skills that you're not already proficient in. But where the Bard really finds a home is by being a support class, healing people and using their signature move, Bardic Inspiration, which gives an ally a d6 that they can add on to their attack or a skill check. Honestly, there are so many things that the Bard can do and do well that there's not much in the way of actual strategy that the Bard falls into, at least not regularly. What I mean by that is, since the Bard is a jack of all trades, I can't peg it down into a hole and say, oh, you gotta stand on the back and cast spells, or oh, you gotta run up and hit him with your loot. The Bard is a free spirit and it'll do what it likes, which is a lot of the reason why I enjoy the class so very, very much. While the other classes can do pretty much anything with the aid of magic, the Bard is the only class that can do pretty much anything and sing! What you'll find yourself doing most often is, instead of pushing too heavily on one aspect of the game, you'll do a lot of multitasking, both in and out of combat, which lets you fill in whatever blanks your party has. Think of yourself as a creamy, buttery butter that slides on the faces of the bread of D&D, always falling Bard side up. With that being said, in lieu of giving traditional tactics, I'm gonna give some tips on early level spells to get you started. Remember though that you don't have to choose these spells, and once you start to get the hang of the class, you'll start to figure out for yourself which spells you like and which ones you don't. So, for starters, the Bard exclusive cantrip known as Vicious Mockery is an absolute joy to have in your toolhouse. It does damage, and it has a special effect in the form of giving disadvantage to the target, which is exactly what a Bard should be doing, multitasking. Also, if you're worried about being too squishy, you might want to pick up Blade Ward, which gives you resistance against bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing weapons. Now, I do want to mention the True Strike cantrip because while it seems good at first, it's actually very situational. Casting True Strike costs an action and gives you advantage on your next attack roll, which is absolutely useless if your next attack roll is just a weapon or a cantrip. But if you're trying to hit something really important, like that all-important 7th level spell, True Strike might actually have some use. Granted, at that point, you'll probably have better ways of gaining advantage, so maybe True Strike really is useless. Now, going into the more scholarly aspects of the Bard, our wonderful Shakespeare fanatic has a total of 5 archetypes known as colleges that they can study from, and each one provides a healthy curriculum of slashing, casting, and chatting your way into people's hearts and spleens. Like most classes, archetype selection is done at 3rd level, and by then you'll probably know what type of Bard you're looking to try out. So, for starters, we have the College of Valor, for those looking to kick ass and cast bubblegum. With this college, you lean harder on the field of swordplay, but with a supportive focus, turning you into what amounts to a musical paladin of drums and war. You become proficient with medium armor, martial weapons, and shields. Your Bardic Inspiration takes a more combative role, allowing allies to increase their attack or defense, and eventually, you can become a proper spell sword and attack directly after casting. Also, keep in mind that weapon attack doesn't automatically mean melee weapons, so archery bards will find a home here as well. In either case, the College of Valor is for any bard that wants to get their hands dirty by taking care of business the good old-fashioned way. On the flip side of that coin, the College of Lore says, hitting things with weapons? How poor of you. And then goes off to be posh and proper somewhere else. The Lore College is part skill monkey, part magic, making it a potent supportive archetype. With 3 extra skill proficiencies, the ability to make fun of somebody so that they miss their attack, and being able to take spells from any other class and use them as bard spells, and let me tell you, that last one is a big deal. The College of Lore is a straight upgrade from the standard bard, being able to craft an image for itself while still being incredibly flexible with playstyles. Bards who appreciate more social or skill check based approaches to problems will have fun with this class. But if you wanted to go all out on the social aspect of the game, look no further than my personal favorite archetype of my personal favorite class, the College of Glamour. This type of bard is a super sexy social butterfly of fabulousness and sparkles, and almost all of this archetype's abilities serve to seduce the mind and body and make them succumb to your will. Essentially, this charming character class choice charms characters caught in its casted curse from which they cannot creep out of. Concise? In layman's terms, all the abilities mess with people's perceptions of you, with the exception of your first ability, which gives everybody temporary HP and lets them shuffle themselves around the map. The rest are just use this ability to get people to do what you want, with your final ability going so far as to force people to make a charisma save or be so encapsulated by your otherworldly beauty that they decide to leave you alone and hit something else. If you want to be the dancing queen, Check out the College of Glamour and let your diva soar. Now, in another case of inversion, the opposite of an archetype that wants all eyes on them is an archetype that shrouds itself in mystery, intrigue, and subterfuge. And that archetype is the College of Whispers. The Whispers bard is a spy, an assassin, a mercenary for hire, and the coolest, edgiest bard that you could possibly ask for. You get increased damage on your attacks, you can supernaturally scare people into doing what you want, and you can kill people, steal their shadows, and take on their appearance and mimic their personality. Fun fact, this archetype was in my top 10 Xanathar's Guide subclasses, and for good reason. It's actually really terrifying how cool the College of Whispers is, and it lends itself to some really interesting role-playing situations. If you want to be a stealthy, bardy boy, try to listen for the College of Whispers. Finally, for those of you who like to stick 'em with the pointy end, we have the College of Swords. Some of you old people might remember this subclass as a kit from the 2nd edition of D&D, and at first glance, this looks sort of similar to the College of Valor, but the best way for me to explain the difference is that Valor is like a paladin bard, while Swords is more of a fighter bard with a focus on swordplay. The main draw is your Blade Flourish, which lets you use your bardic inspiration on yourself in order to do more damage, as well as either increase your defense, hit more people, or push people around. In addition, you get a fighting style letting you increase your defense or give you 2-weapon fighting, you gain an extra attack, and most importantly, you gain the ability to use your melee weapon as a spellcasting focus, meaning you won't have to play as the dashing swordsman, Inigo Forel, first sword of the 6th Sea, who also carries around bagpipes in one hand when he fights for some reason. But that'll about do it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and maybe subscribe if you want to be a cool dude. Also, if you're interested in staying up to date on all of your Davvy news, you can find a link to my Discord server in the description below. But yeah, Davvy out.